Assalamu alaikum everyone, my name's Farah Halaby and I'm a professional Mr. My Life coach, and I'd like to ask you, what's your maths like, and specifically relationship maths? You might think, what's she on about now, what's she going on about? But when it comes to the relationships, and let's take marriage for example, you only have 50% input. Between you and your significant other, you have 50% of that relationship, of that interaction. They have the other 50%. But when things are going wrong, when things aren't going the way that you want, you try to control 100% of something that is out of your control. You try to control 100% of the other person's behavior, of the other person's attitude, of the other person themselves. But what you don't have is control over 5, 10, 15, 20, and certainly not 100% of them. All you have is control over your 50%. But you have 100% control over your 50%. What we do when things aren't going right, even if we say to ourselves, and this is what a lot of my clients come to me with, issues within relationships, issues within the way that they interact with significant people in their lives. And they say to me, I don't say a word, they can tell me all day long what the other person has done, all day long how the other person has acted, how they've behaved, and they fixate and they get very involved in the story of what the other person is doing with their 50% of the relationship. And then they tell me that themselves, I don't say a word, I say nothing, I don't get involved. And then they say to me, then they don't listen. They don't listen to when I'm saying to them, they're doing this, this and this. But coming from a place where you are focusing and fixated on someone else who you can't control, who at best you have a little bit of influence on, but certainly no level of control. You can't control what that person does, what that person says, what that person thinks. And everything that you don't have control over that person, you're trying to control. You're trying to change. You're trying to control what they do. You're certainly trying to control the reasons they're doing it by saying, oh, you shouldn't do this because this is like, you shouldn't act that way, and you really shouldn't act that way, and what is going on. And you might try actually to sound very understanding, but it comes from a place of judgment. It comes from a place of opinion. It comes from a place of erroneously thinking that is within your control. And then when that person either doesn't take your advice or doesn't feel that they need to change, they feel judged, they don't feel understood, they feel as if they are being told off, they feel as if they are, they don't want to hear it. And you can say, I've tried this a million different times, I've tried using different words, but it's not the words and it's not the approach that you're using that is different. You say that I've tried all these different things, but it's still coming from the same place. It's still coming from that 100% thinking that you can control this person, that you can change them, that you have the effect on them. So when it comes from that place of judgment, you could say the same thing in a million different ways. It's not going to land with that person, because the thing that is the same throughout all of those different ways that you've tried to speak to them is you and what you think of that person. If you want a relationship to change, if you want something to be different in the way that you interact with your partner, with your children, with your relatives, with your colleagues, with people within your community, and you come from a place of judgment, It's not going to change. But when you understand the power that you do have, the maths, the logic, the answers that you have 0% effect on that person's 50% input into the relationship, but you have 100% impact on your 50%. When we focus on ourselves, when we focus on how we think, when we focus on what we can affect, what we can change, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes it really clear for us. He tells us that he's not going to change the condition of the people until we change that which is within ourselves. The condition, our condition, the condition of the people is everything and everyone outside of us. So the people, the partners, the husbands, the wives, the children, the colleagues, the community, the family, the friends, circumstances, everything outside of us is the condition. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take that care of that. Only when we change that which is within ourselves, that bit that we can change, that we can affect, that he has given us the ability, the power, the permission, the capability to, is how we behave, how we show up in the world, what we think, how we interpret. That's on us. When we look inward to us and we focus on our 50%, even though you think you're doing nothing wrong, oh, it's not me, it's all them. They are one hand. The other one is you. And it takes two hands to clap. They are only 50% of the equation. But if in your mind they represent 100% of the problem, then you're fighting a losing battle here, because you're trying to change what you don't have the ability to change. You are trying to manipulate, to make sense of, to calculate something that doesn't reason out. The maths doesn't add up. Focus on your 50%, which is what you can do, how you can behave, what you think, what you feel, how you show up. And when you change that, the bit that you can change, the bit that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told you, that bit within yourself, that thing within yourself, your opinions, your reasoning, the way that you calculate, when you focus on that, you show up differently. The other person then is not responding to the same old 50%. They're responding to something slightly different. Try it and see. I'm not saying you sit down and do arithmetic with your partner, or you start getting the calculator out with your children, but by focusing on the power that you do have, it gives you somewhere to go. It gives you a logical, it gives you a clearer pathway, rather than banging your head and trying to reason and calculate and coming up with 5 every time you're trying to make 2 + 2 equal something. You're coming up with the wrong number. Your 50%, you have 100% impact on that. When we focus on that, we focus on that which we can affect, that which we can change. We are focusing and giving ourselves the truth. We're giving ourselves the best way forward, because we could try a million different ways to tell people, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't act like that, you shouldn't, they know. They've got, they're aware, but they're aware from their perspective. They're not going to see yours. They're not going to see their behaviour through your eyes. They're not going to see what they say through your ears. They're not going to hear it the same way. Their 50% calculates for them, reasons out for them, works out for them. It doesn't work out for you. So focus on yours, and you will have the best way of going forward, because, well, it doesn't come from me. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us quite clearly. So when you focus on what you can change, it gives you a clearer pathway. If you are a Muslim woman, a professional Muslim woman who is trying to reason out, who is trying to make sense of her relationships, who is banging her head, is frustrated, trying to work out why the significant other person or people in her life aren't behaving the way that she wants, or she is getting frustrated and overwhelmed and upset and just not having a good old time in those relationships. When we focus on that which we can affect, that which we can change, that which we have the power over, it gives you hope, it gives you a pathway, and it gives you a way of changing what you can, leaving the rest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but giving you the way of actually doing that relationship in the way that you want. And you focus on how you show up. If you would like some help with that, if you would like some help with your marriage maths or with your parenting Pythagoras or with your relationship arithmetic, then my name's Farah Halaby. I'm a professional Mr. My Life coach, and you can book in a consultation with me to work out, or to really have us hold the space to help you work out what is going on for you and how you can move forward in the way that your 50% is 100% of what you can do. As always, I pray that you are safe, well, happy and healthy. And if you would like to, if you'd like to contact me, you can via DM, or you can email connect@farahhalaby.com. Inshallah, I pray that you are all having a joyous evening. You are safe, well, happy and healthy. And I will pop on again for another little convo. But for now, take care. Assalamu alaikum.